Hi, my name is Michael. I want to discuss our history from the beginning, African kings and queens, and slavery, which are two chapters in our book of life, history. These things happened a long time ago by the evildoers of those who enslaved others. Please don't be angry about some of the history we are about to indulge in. This is our history. Embrace it. Please do your own research to verify these facts. We're going to focus on two areas at this time. Right here in the upper right hand corner, Egypt and Ethiopia. A gift of heritage. Heritage means who we are as a people and what we're all about. African kings and queens. Means first pharaoh of ancient Egypt, Africa. He ruled from 3100 BC to 3038 BC. BC means before Christ. Over 5,000 years ago, Menes was the most powerful man in the world. African kings and queens to follow look like us. They are us. Pharaoh Hatshepsut ruled Egypt from 1478 BC to 1457 BC. Hatshepsut was the daughter of Pharaoh Thutmose I. She was also the wife of Pharaoh Thutmose II. When Thutmose II died, his son became the new ruler. Thutmose III was only 10 years old when he became Pharaoh, so Hatshepsut was made the regent of Egypt. Hatshepsut ruled as regent for several years. Then she decided to take direct power. She was the first woman in Egyptian history to become a pharaoh. Her rule lasted for more than 20 years. Hatshepsut was a wise and powerful pharaoh. She made Egypt richer by trading with many foreign nations. She also strengthened her army and used it to conquer her enemies and acquire more land for Egypt. History tells us that she sometimes led the army into battle. During her reign, she had brought new strength and beauty to the kingdom of Egypt. Pharaoh Akhenaten and Queen Nefertiti ruled Egypt from 1379 BC to 1362 BC. He was the only pharaoh to believe in one God, the sun god. He was 1,000 years ahead of his time. Here he is to the right here with his wife, Queen Nefertiti, and children worshiping the sun god. Pharaoh Tut and King Tut ruled Egypt from 1361 BC to 1351 BC. He ruled for only 10 short years, from age 9 to 19. During such a time, an older person ruled in his name. The reason that King Tut remained so famous is that his tomb was discovered during modern times. The boy pharaoh did not rule alone. The priest chose a regent to help him rule. Like all pharaohs, King Tut spent most of his time in the temple. The pharaoh was supposed to take part in all the important religious ceremonies of the kingdom. The Egyptians believed that if a pharaoh followed the correct ceremonies, the gods would bless their land. This young king, who resigned so briefly, became world famous thousands of years after his time. King Tut's story shows that history never really ends. Long after his death, King Tut came alive again through the records and treasures that were left in this young king's tomb. The love of King Solomon's life, the beautiful Menelik, Queen of Sheba, Ethiopia. She ruled Ethiopia from 960 BC to 930 BC. She heard about King Solomon's great wisdom, and she went to visit him to learn from him. And they fell in love and had a boy child who ruled Ethiopia. Ethiopia and Israel now have a tie that will never be broken. Piye, ancient warrior king, ruled Nubia from 753 BC to 713 BC. During Piye's time, the ancient kingdoms of Nubia, Moors, and the Kush were all under the control of Egypt. Egypt was ruled by a dynasty from Libya. Under this dynasty, the other kingdoms were forced to give part of their treasures to Egypt every year. The taxes paid in gold, salt, cattle, and other goods. As a ruler of Nubia, Piye was supposed to obey the rulers of Egypt, but it seemed unfair to him that his country should give up so much of its wealth. So Piye decided that instead of paying the rulers of Egypt, he would conquer them. Piye marched his armies north along the Nile River. They followed the river to the first contrary of the waterfall. This was the border of ancient kingdom of Upper Egypt. Like Menes, the first great pharaoh, Piye swept down from the highlands and conquered Egypt. Piye's most important accomplishment is freeing of Egypt from Libya. His victory reunited the ancient kingdoms of Egypt, Nubia, Moors, and the Kush. This restored the heritage of Egypt, which was started by the great pharaoh Menes. Piye earned the respect of the people of Egypt for his efforts in bringing the ancient kingdoms back together. Mansa Musa I ruled Ethiopia from 1312 to 1337. The kingdom of Mali was in western Africa along the banks of the Niger River hundreds of years ago. Mali was one of the richest kingdoms in the world. Mansa Musa himself was the richest human being to ever walk on earth. Mansa Musa was worth over 400 billion with a B in our time. Mali grew because it had many natural resources like plenty of gold and salt. The people of Mali were also famous for making tools and weapons from iron. Mansa Musa was a strong and just ruler. His kingdom was well organized. His people were educated and could read and write in Arabic and kept records of everything that happened during Mansa Musa's rule. We know that he had a huge army of over 100,000 men and a cavalry of 10,000 men. The most important event in Mansa Musa's life was his pilgrimage to Mecca. In 1324, Mecca is the holiest city of Islam. It is the desire of all Muslims to make a pilgrimage to Mecca. Mansa Musa visited all the holy places of Islam. Mansa Musa helped to open the eyes of the world to Africa. During his time, he was one of the most powerful men on earth. He helped to spread the religion of Islam, and he built a mighty kingdom that lasted for hundreds of years. Truly, the Emperor Mansa Musa was one of the greatest rulers in history to ever live. Warrior King Sonny Ali Bear ruled from 1464 to 1492. The Songhai Empire began when Sonny Ali Bear came to power in 1464. At first, Songhai was a small state of Maui. Sonny Ali Bear of Songhai began conquering cities and capturing trade routes. His kingdom soon ruled over what had been Maui. The kingdom of Maui had many mines of gold and salt, some of the most valuable natural resources of ancient times. Sonny Ali Bear's dream was to create a kingdom that stretched across the entire width of Africa. He achieved much of his dream by building one of the largest and wealthiest empires in history. Though he spent a lifetime making war, he was never defeated in battle. A skillful warrior, he attacked the small kingdoms along the trade routes to the east of Songhai. Sonny Ali Bear kept his empire strong. His large army was trained and ready for battle at all times. Sonny Ali Bear, Warrior King. Queen Nzinga was a great ruler of the kingdom of Dong. Dong was the kingdom along the Congo River. The land is now part of the country of Angola. Queen Nzinga ruled at a time when Europeans were beginning to conquer Africa. She led her people in an historic fight against the European invaders and the deadly slave trade. Portugal was the first European country to explore the west coast of Central Africa. Near the end of the 15th century, in 1623, Nzinga was made queen of the Dong Kingdom. From the beginning, Queen Nzinga's most important goal was defeating the Portuguese. She kept her armies ready to fight, and when they fought, Queen Nzinga led the soldiers into battle. She fought the Portuguese many times. When the Portuguese finally began to win battles against the Dong armies, Nzinga refused to make peace with them. She was never successful in throwing the Portuguese out of Africa. The Portuguese took full control of the Dong right after the great queen died. The evil slave trade continued ruining the great ancient kingdoms of the African continent. Queen Nzinga ruled at a very difficult time in African history. Europeans were forcing Africans into slavery. Queen Nzinga fought back bravely during her lifetime. She kept her kingdom from being destroyed by the slave trade. Queen Nzinga was remembered in history as a noble leader who took a brave stance against the enemies of Africa, Europe. Shaka ruled from 1813 to 1829. Shaka, the king of the Zulus, was the fiercest fighter of all time. His tribe of warriors lived in what is now South Africa. Shaka was born in the year 1787. His father was the royal Zulu chief. His mother Nandi was one of the chief's wives. Shaka began his rule with violence. He killed his half-brother and took the throne away from him. Then he began to build a huge army that would help him rule. Shaka found the warriors for his army in many parts of Africa. He chose the best warriors from the tribes he conquered. He gave these warriors positions of honor in his army. In this way, Shaka built an army that was loyal to him. People all over South Africa feared the army of Shaka. All his warriors were perfectly trained, strong, and brave. He was a master at planning battles. Shaka used his mind to win battles. He designed a new spear for battle. They called it the killing spear. One by one, Shaka conquered the tribes around him. Shaka's goal was to rule all of Africa. He believed he could do it, and that he would be able to fight off even the Europeans. They fought for many years to keep Europeans from moving into their land. Shaka ruled during very violent times. He was a great organizer and leader. When Shaka was 42 years old, he was killed by one of his half-brothers. His life ended in the same violent way that he began his rule. Shaka lived by the spear, and he died by the spear. Menelik II ruled Ethiopia from 1889 to 1913. This was a particularly difficult period for Africa. At the time, almost all the countries of Africa were under the rule of European countries, but Menelik II helped this ancient kingdom to remain free. The European country that was most interested in Ethiopia was Italy. Menelik II had signed a treaty with Italy. When it came to the throne, he had worked hard to build a strong and modern Ethiopian army. When Italy broke the treaty and invaded Ethiopia in 1895, Menelik II's army drove his Italians back. Menelik and his troops finally defeated the Italians at the Battle of Adwa in 1896. Menelik then turned his attention to adding more land to his kingdom. He conquered lands to the south and east and west. During the reign, Menelik II ruled over what are now parts of Somalia, Kenya, and Sudan. In all the lands that he ruled, Menelik II built schools, hospitals, factories, and railroads for his people. He took the best that Europe had to offer and used it to develop his country, Ethiopia. This is King Dahomey of Gizo in the year of 1820 with his woman here. And I want to put him in here because look at his dress. Look at the bright colors. And look at his hat. Look at the style of his hat. This is where we get our style from. This is Africa. To my right is a map of Africa. Areas highlighted in yellow represent areas concentrated with gold. Areas highlighted in red represent areas concentrated with animals with ivory tusks. To my left in red is a blown up view of the Ivory Coast, which represent millions of animals being slaughtered for their ivory tusks. To my right is the Gold Coast, which represents a solid island of gold. When Portuguese explorers landed on the shores of Africa in 1471, the sand was mixed with gold dust. God blessed the black man with diamonds, yellow gold, black gold, beautiful animals with ivory tusks. Mother Africa is truly the land of milk and honey. For 500 years, she has been raided and destroyed by European invaders. When we came to America, our past and heritage were stolen from us and replaced with lies. As a people, young and old, it's important we learn about our past, where we came from, the truth. The truth will set us free. A person with no past has no future. Barack Obama knows his black history. He never gave up. Back where we started from. Don't ever give up. Over 5,000 years ago, a black man named Menes, Pharaoh of Africa, was the most powerful man in the world. And here we are over 5,000 years later. Barack Obama, an African and half European, is the most powerful man in the world. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Be the best that you can. Work hard. Study hard. Know your history. Study your black history. And above all, make us all proud. Make your ancestors proud. Those ancestors that died so we can live. Thank you. These are all the websites and books I got all my information from. Please look up information to verify these facts. Thank you.